Before beginning your installation, you'll want to spend some time on microinverter placement and cabling. As both Yc600 and QS1 microinverters connect to multiple modules, planning out your connections and cable routes in advance will save you time on the roof. Begin by drawing out your layout map based on your roof measurements, clearly marking the placement of racking and PV modules and where the trunk cable will be routed. Check your regional APSYSTEMS microinverter datasheet to determine how many units can be placed on each circuit. In the US, up to 7 Yc600 units can be placed on a single 20 amp breaker in a 240 volt configuration, which accommodates 14 PV modules, or up to 3 QS1 units per 20 amp breaker in 240 volts, which accommodates 12 PV modules. In Europe, any combination of Yc600 or QS1 units that will accommodate 14 PV modules can be used. For all other regions, be sure to check the product datasheet from that region. Next, determine where the inverters can best be positioned to connect to the PV modules. One of the benefits of a detailed layout map is that it allows you to set up your gateway in advance, saving you time at the job site. If you choose to pre-plan which specific microinverters will be placed where in your array, you can remove the serial number UID stickers and place them on your array map. You can scan these UIDs using the APSYSTEMS ECU app, so the gateway is plug and play at the job site. Alternatively, you can scan the serial number UIDs after you install the microinverters on the racking by pulling the stickers and building your array map before installing the panels. More information on the process of scanning inverters and using the ECU app can be found in our ECUR video series on our YouTube channel. Yc600 layouts are fairly straightforward. For single panel layout in portrait, the trunk cable terminals are located every 2 meters, which allows the Yc600 to be positioned completely under every other PV module. For 2x2 layout, the process is similar, with a new trunk line used for the next row of PV modules. When connecting the Yc600 to split cell or half cell PV modules, a DC extension cable may be needed to reach the further side of the adjacent PV module. For the QS1, a 2x2 portrait layout is the most convenient whenever possible. Plan to position the PV modules so the junction boxes are placed as close to the inverter as possible to enable connection. For a 1x4 QS1 layout, place the microinverters 4 modules apart, which can be done by simply skipping one terminal on the trunk cable. The unused terminal can be sealed with a terminal cap. Be sure the QS1 is located under the second PV module in the set of 4, so it can easily reach the second and third modules. Plan to use DC extension cables to reach the first and fourth PV modules. The 1x4 portrait layout requires more DC extension cables, which is why the 2x2 layout is recommended whenever possible. In your layout design, be sure to consider where you might need DC extensions to connect to the hard-to-reach PV modules. AC extensions, or whips, are also available if needed to route a trunk cable around a chimney or other roof feature, as well as connectors to create a sealed connection. Using the QS1 and Yc600 on the same circuit is simply plug and play, since they use the same trunk cable, connector, and gateway and are fully compatible to be used in the same circuit. If your circuit, for example, has 3 QS1 units, which can connect to 12 PV modules, what happens if you only need 11 modules? You can use 3/4 of the inverter by sealing 2 unused DC connectors on the QS1 microinverter with MC4 caps. The rest of the inverter would function normally. The MPPT is not shared, but independent per channel, so the output on the rest of the channels would remain the same. In a 10-module scenario, you can simply replace one of the QS1 units with a Yc600. If you have 9 modules, just use MC4 caps once again to seal the unused DC connectors on the Yc600. For 8 modules, simply use 2 QS1 microinverters. Here's an example from the US and European markets regarding combinations of QS1 and Yc600 units per branch for those regions. Regions differ on the number of units per branch, so be sure to check the datasheet and installation manual for products sold in your region to determine how many of each microinverter you can use. The rule of thumb for the European region on units per circuit is any combination of QS1 and Yc600 microinverters which accommodates 14 PV modules. For the US, it's any combination which remains at or under the 16 amp loading threshold on a 20 amp breaker. Also, here are a couple of tables showing the combinations for Canada and Australia.